Welcome to a special Transits Fridays because there's so much going on this week that we really need to talk about. So we are on the build up to the full moon. So the full moon will be happening on the 15th. But most importantly, today is when not Mercury, Mercury is already retrograde. Mars is turning retrograde. So we have Mars at 6 degrees Leo turning backwards, and it will be turning retrograde all the way to the end of February. So February 24th, 2025. And it will pop back to Cancer. So it will go back from Leo to Cancer and we'll get to 17 degrees Cancer. So what can that mean and what can we do today as well? This is all part of what we're going to be discussing. So let me share my screen where I have my software so we can actually look at all the imagery. And obviously, this is like, if you're like me, we're way more visual. So we need to look at the pictures. Now, let me know how you're doing. What's going on? How was this week for you? How was the new moon? So we recently had a new moon in Sagittarius, which happened uh, last Sunday, I think, on the 1st of December. So right with the beginning of December, we had a new moon. I love when that happens. So we have a beginning of a month and a beginning of a lunar cycle as well aligned together. So how was that for you? A lot of my audience has been reporting to feel very positive. So there was a lot of positive feelings in the air, or maybe optimistic feelings in the air as well when we had that new moon. So the seeds that we were planting had that sort of that life quality of Sagittarius, that sort of hopeful, fiery, optimistic, etc. So let me know how was that for you. I had a great Sunday. I have to say, December is so far is already being a wonderful month. I'm finally managing to just fully rest. I mean, I'm thinking about things, I'm having new ideas, I'm still, putting talks together in my mind. My very busy Mercury in Virgo, but uh, I'm just resting. I'm just taking it slow. I'm just being able to slow down this month and getting ready as well. Like I have my brother arriving from England soon. And, that would be like family time soon and friends, a lot of friends meetings and things. So I'm really looking forward to these month. But enough about me. Enough about me. Uh, so let me know in the comments, how is this going for you? How you're feeling, etc. If you're managing to rest as well, which is one of the great things to do with a Mercury retrograde and a personal planet's going retrograde, which takes us to today, really, and what's happening today. So here we have Mars, 6 degrees Leo, and you can see it's already in red here. This is later in São Paulo, so 10 p.m. in São Paulo. I don't know, depending where you are in the world, that's going to be early hours of the 7th or still the 6th of December as well. But Mars is already stationing and turning retrograde. And the thing is that Mars is also in opposition to Pluto. So I think one of the key aspects of this Mars retrograde is this opposition to Pluto. I mean, there is a kind of a trine to the nodes, to the north node and a sextile to the south node. But really, in terms of planets, which are a much denser symbolic energy in astrology, really the key flavor of this retrogradation will be that opposition, right? That's the aspect, the main aspect that's still in orb here. So opposition to between Mars and Pluto, they're not the easiest. We obviously have Mars, which is the planet of war, self-assertion, saying no, dealing with anger. There's a lot of flavors around Mars that are not necessarily easy and pleasant to digest and to work with. And obviously, depending on your birth chart, that's going to be more or less. If you're heavily Venusian, you might find very uncomfortable to embody Mars. And if you are highly Martian or highly Aries or highly Scorpio, it's easier for you to embody Mars, which may make this period a little tricky for you. It's like for people that have a lot of Gemini and a lot of Virgo in their charts, Mercury going retrograde might be a bit of a crazy for weeks. So with Mars going retrograde, people that have a lot of Scorpio and Aries might find challenging because it will be very much directly speaking to you and to your energy and to the way that you express yourself in the world as well. I think that can be a tricky time, especially if you're trying to come out into the world too much, especially if you're trying to take action, to be outdoors, to be outwards with this energy. Retrogradations are invitations to go inwards. I was talking to my students yesterday, and really, like the imagery for me when we have retrograde planets is of that wave. You know, when we're observing the sea and there is a wave and there's a peak of a wave and it breaks and then it goes back to form another wave, right? That's the retrograde, is when we're pulling back and we're forming another new wave, right? So this is the movement. This is the imagery that I want you to have in your mind when you're thinking about this Mars going retrograde. You are sort of pulling back a little bit to go forward again. So it's like a step back for in order to get 2 steps forward. Yeah. So if we try to be overly assertive right now, we might find problems. We might find challenges. We might see unpleasant, angry um angry energies around us or power struggles. I think that's a key sort of potential theme when we have Mars and Pluto in opposition. Pluto obviously is an outer planet talking about the collective will to survive. That's the way I like to think about Pluto. And obviously that's Lise Green. Those are not my words, but I just really find it cuts to the core of a Pluto. So the will to survive is at odds with the will to assert. And they're really struggling, and oppositions tend to manifest as other people, our interactions with other people. So we might find ourselves in battles or situations that require us to be in battle. And this might be internal as well. I saw a video from Jessica Laniadu. I really love her insights. I think she's a wonderful astrologer as well. And she was talking about the battles and the power struggles between, the classic power struggles between Pluto and Mars, and how this can also be our internal lives, our own selves, between our own selves, the different personalities fighting inside us. So really, we can also brainstorm Leo and Aquarius and the flavor of belonging to the group and doing something, for the best of the group's health and personal creativity as well. Individual creativity, individual expression. So how is that going to be fighting, you know? And whenever there is a challenge here involving Leo and Aquarius, I like to think about Brené Brown's definition of belonging. And there is a huge difference between belonging. They're actually polar opposite, belonging and fitting in. And so if any situation that you might be encountering for the next 2 months are requesting fitting in from you, that you have to go with the group, that you have to dress up like the group or speak like the group or have the same opinions as the group, think that's fitting in. That is the polar opposite of belonging. Belonging is when people accept you for who you are. You can be creative, you can be weird, you can wear the clothes that you want to wear, and people won't just reject you. You don't have to be vegan as well to be part of the group or part of the family. You don't have to express the exact same opinions to be part of the group as well. So there's something about those flavors. They're going to be there in the air for us until the end of February. And obviously, by the end of February, that Mars will be back in Cancer. So Mars going back in going retrograde in Leo will be definitely dealing with the creative, belonging, fitting in sort of issues. And once it goes back to Cancer as well, then we have family situations here that will be potentially coming back. So family conflicts or fighting for the family or fighting to belong. I think the sense of belonging is very important for the sign of Cancer, you know? It's like the family and the familiar and the sense of protection and belonging and emotional security as well. So there could be a lot of conflicts at first connected to personal and individual creativity and our individual identity and the validation of that. And then that's going to hit another layer that's going to be connected with Cancer and emotional security, the emotional belonging, and fighting for that as well. So, very important. I mean, we're going to have this transit going on for a while, so we can continue to talk about that. I'm really curious to hear your own insights. Where is that Mars Pluto in your birth chart? Is it on your ascendant? Is, across your ascendant descendant? Is it across your midheaven and your IC or any of your personal planets? Then that's going to be very important to you, personally speaking. And the house where they're falling will be telling you the area where you're more likely to be experiencing the power struggles. So think about that. But the power struggle is also bringing a lot of energy to move forward. So we can use a lot of that energy to move ahead, considering that we take this time, like the image of the wave, really shrinking back to gain momentum to then move forward. As long as we do that, I think we can definitely work with these astrological configuration in a much more creative way. And obviously, this channel is about constructive astrology. It's not about the doom and gloom and all the things that can go wrong and all the dangers around you, but what you can actually do with this from a more constructive and positive perspective. Is all about empowerment, right? I'm looking to the side because I've done my daily tarot spread, and one of the cards that I got is the Tower, which is connected to Mars. So very interesting the day that Mars is turning retrograde. So I just really realized that as well. Okay, so there's still going to be a lot of time for us to talk, to discuss, to check in as well with each other and see how we're dealing with this, how we're working with this energy. But like I said, take some time out, observe, analyze, and embody this energy. Be as grounded as possible with this energy, with these challenging battles, so you can really understand what changes need to be done. How do you need to be in the world as an assertive individual, right? How do you do assertion? Are you good at saying no? I mean, that's a big one. I don't find it easy to say no a lot of the times. So how do you get to that point of saying no, of really setting boundaries? That's what's going to be there for us to work with. So very, very important. And I guess because today is the day that Mars is going to be turning retrograde, stationing, we might feel that energy very strongly. And that might be a feeling of frustration in the air. So just be aware of that. Just pay attention, beware, just look at it. Just be conscious of it, right? Okay. Now there's also Venus ingress. So this is happening tomorrow. So that's the 7th of December already. And we've got Venus moving to Aquarius. Now, as Venus moves to Aquarius, obviously Venus does what? Conjoins Pluto. So we've got Venus-Pluto conjunction this weekend, tying into that opposition from the retrograde Mars. And I think Venus's presence here is very much telling us, are we giving and taking in equal measure? And it's hard to do that. It's hard to do that. Sometimes we're giving more, sometimes we're taking more, but this transit in the sky with Pluto being involved in might bring a very intense energy to these questions. and to the current situation as well, of how much give and take is actually happening in our lives, and how can we improve that? How can we regenerate that, right? How can we make things right in our relationships? And also assert ourselves, having our values as well um, in view, being able to be aligned with our values as well at the same time. So those are some of the questions here. And obviously, with Mars and Pluto, it might intensify things. So we might feel an intense urge here with this configuration during the weekend. And my advice here with constructive astrology is to not overdo things, just pay attention, not overdo the fighting or overdo the giving or overdo the enjoyment as well. That's the Venus Pluto, conjunction, going to the extreme of pleasures sometimes. So just beware of that. But there is a lot of healing that can happen during this weekend in terms of our our relationship to the feminine, our feminine identity as well, and our values. I think first and foremost, our values, our connection to our values. Another change of direction or ingress for this week, so it's quite a busy week really, is Neptune turning direct. So that's also happening on the 7th. So while on the 6th or 7th, we have Mars turning retrograde, we also will have Neptune turning direct. So the connection to the longings, to the dreams, to the ideals, and our spirituality as well will start to move ahead again. So we can kind of move forward with that. And obviously, this is particularly important if you have any personal planets around the 27th degree of the mutable signs, because that's a personal transit, a personal change and refinement that you're going through, that will be moving ahead, that will be moving forward this weekend. So that could be paired up with insights. And the insights could also be reflected by another configuration this weekend, which is the perfection between the Sun and Jupiter in opposition. So we got the Sun in Sag and Jupiter in Gemini, and they're both at 16 degrees. So I really think this could be insights. They're both signs that are very insightful, very much about growth and learning and curiosity and vision. I think vision is a key word here as well. So we could get clarity around some of those things, and they're all together, right? So maybe the Venus, Mars, Pluto situation will give us food for thought to have that vision, to zoom out in our life situation and to understand some things, or to incite the thirst for growing and learning and moving forward. I think all of that can be really helpful when it comes to assessing what we've done in 2024, how we're, got by, and what did we accomplish? Did we do everything that we set ourselves up to do? Is anything missing? Or are any of these goals not worth our time? And we realize that now after we finished. So really putting there, doing a bit of a reality check with the end of the year. Well, the things we've done, the things we haven't done, and the things that we want to do next year as well. So the weekend can be an intense one. So this is Sunday, and Monday the 9th, we have a fleeting, but nevertheless, we do have a grand trine in fire. So that's an interesting day again for vision board, because two of the planets of these grand trine and fire are retrograde. We've got Mercury and we've got Mars retrograde. So really he's moving backwards a little bit. Remember, is that wave picking up momentum, going backwards to then move forward. So this could be a wonderful time to work on our vision boards for 2025. What are the things that we want to accomplish? What are the things that we want to do, that we want to put our energy into? Fire signs are very future oriented. They're very connected to um, self-expression, creativity, right? Living a life, being larger than life, having a more mythological existence. So on Monday, we can work on our vision boards for next year, considering those desires for the future. What do we want to do next year? What do we want to accomplish? Yeah. And this is Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, what's important here for the rest of the week is that we are on a crescendo of energy for the full moon. Okay, the full moon will happen at 23 degrees Gemini, but that's not going to happen until the 15th. So I'll talk about the full moon next week, but we're getting to that point. So by Friday, which is Friday the 13th, by the way, next week, by Friday, the moon will be in Gemini already, coming to oppose the sun. But it's also the day that Mercury will be stationing to move direct. So Mercury will be moving direct on the same day of the full moon. But we'll talk about that. But the rest of the week is about that motion of intensity towards the full moon and Mercury stationing to go direct as well. So this is kind of the energy that we have. So what I would suggest is to still do a lot of reflection for the rest of that week, for that energy of the full moon, for that culmination of the full moon. And obviously tying up any knots connected to that Mercury retrograde. All right. So that's it. I hope this is being helpful. Let me know what your plans are and what you're doing and how you're doing with Mercury going retrograde and what you're looking forward with this Mars turning retrograde as well today and what you're not looking forward. Where is it going to be in your chart? And that's it. Take care. I'm wishing you a wonderful week and I'll be seeing you next Friday. So lots of love and I'll see you soon.